Hello dear students and all kinds of viewers. Assalamu alaikum. I would like to warmly welcome you to my virtual lecture presentation session. Hope you will enjoy it to the end of this session. So let's start. Today's session has been exclusively made for MA final year students of English department, and I hope this will help you to get a lot of information from these slides. So let's get started. Okay, this is the slide of some images, very much convenient and really relevant to your topic that I will be discussing today. Can you guess from this image what I'm going to talk about? Well, these are the images of some menageries. What do you mean by menageries? Menageries are actually artificial animals, specially made for studies or some other purposes. So you can see these are some glass imageries, different types of animals and replicas made for some different purposes. So let's go to the next slide. This is another image, dear students, of a very famous, this is a very famous picture of the poet that we are going to talk about. This is the image of a famous birthplace of Tennessee Williams, and now it is used as Columbus Welcome Center. So from these images, what is your observation about the today's session? I hope you have got some very good idea about that. Today's topic that I'm gonna talk about today is about Tennessee Williams and one of his very, very famous plays. I hope you will very much able to understand that. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, this is Glass Menagerie, the very famous play written by Tennessee Williams. Actually, the Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams is not divided into acts. It's a very important feature of this play. And the play is set in 7 scenes in one act. So it's a one act play. And the scenes are, there are 7 scenes in this play, which is very much not traditional or not convenient like other plays or other plays of his contemporaries. So let's go to the deeper part of our discussion. Okay, about the author, Tennessee Williams was born as Lanier Williams on March 26, 1911 to Cornelius and Edwina Williams. That is, his parents are these two names, Cornelius and Edwina Williams. We know him today as the great Tennessee Williams. He was a master writer of plays, which two of his most famous plays would eventually receive the Pulitzer Prize and eventually would be made into movies. But behind this wonderful mastermind was a very depressed and confused man. It's a very brief and very short life sketch about the author. So let's go to the next part of our discussion. The Glass Menageries characters. There are also very few characters presented or staged for display. You know, first one, which is a protagonist of this play, is Tom Wingfield. He's Amanda's son and Laura's brother. Tom plays a dual role in the play as both the narrator and protagonist. The play is from the perspective of Tom's memories. That is why it's actually called a memory play. Amanda Wingfield, Tom and Laura's mother. Amanda was Southern ballet in her youth, and she clings to his romantic vision of her past rather than accepting her current circumstance of poverty and abandonment. Amanda doesn't live in the past, rather she lives in her own version of the present that she sees through the veil of memories and illusions. The next characters, Laura Wingfield, Tom's sister and Amanda's daughter. Laura is deeply fragile, both emotionally and physically. She is painfully shy, and a childhood illness has left one leg slightly shorter than the other, making her walk with a limp. Jim O'Connor, next character, the gentleman caller, whose arrival in scene 6 spurs the play's climax. Tennessee Williams' stage directions describe Jim's nice, ordinary young man. Jim works with Tom at the Waterhouse. He and Tom were acquaintances in high school, where Jim was the hero, sports star, lead in the theater productions, class president, etc. Next, go to the next character. Let's go to the next character. There is only one minor character actually in this play, that is Mr. Wingfield. The absent father of Tom and Laura and husband of Amanda. He never appears on stage, and that's why you don't see him in the play. But his portrait dominates the living room, and his presence looms throughout the whole play. Okay, now let's have a look at the short biography of Tennessee Williams. Born in Columbus, M.S. Williams moved to St. Louis, Missouri as a child. His father was a heavy drinker and his mother was prone to hysterical fits. At age 16, the already prolific Williams won $5 per an essay entitled, "Can a Good Wife Be a Good Sport?" Williams attended the University of Missouri, where he frequently entered writing contests as a source of extra income. After Williams failed military training during junior year, his father pulled him out of college and put him to work in a shoe factory, which Williams despised. At the age of 24, Williams suffered a nervous breakdown and left his job. He studied at Washington University in St. Louis, then at the University of Iowa, finally graduating in 1938. Okay, let's have a look at the historical context of this play. That is the background, a little bit of background of this play, which is very important for you to know. The Great Depression of the 1930s deeply affected United States economically as well as psychologically. Jim mentions the Chicago World's Fair of 1934, an exhibition symbolizing the promise of American industry and the possibility of escape. But the history that most clearly impacts the Glass Menagerie is Tennessee Williams' own personal history. The Glass Menagerie is deeply autobiographical in many ways. For example, Williams' real name is Thomas, so Tom. Tennessee comes from his father's home state. Williams' mother, Evelina, had been a Southern ballet, and his father was both tyrannical and frequently absent. William was very close with his elder sister, Rose, who was delicate and supposedly mentally ill. Laura's nickname, Blue Roses, a mishearing of pleurosis, also links her to Rose. And in 1943, Rose underwent a prefrontal lobotomy, and Williams felt guilty that he hadn't been able to help her more, since he had long since left the family home in St. Louis. The Glass Menagerie is a memory play for both Tom Wingfield and Tom, Tennessee Williams, as they try to overcome their regrets and to reconcile themselves with the past. As I have already mentioned, it's a memory play, so the playwright has tried to amalgam past with the present in this play. Okay, there are very important facts about Tennessee Williams' play. Let's have a look at it one by one. Dear students, I'm strongly suggesting you to have a look at the facts so you can get some prior idea before you go through the text. The Glass Menagerie is a memory play. The narrator warns he is an unreliable narrator. The Glass Menagerie was the first memory play. The Glass Menagerie began as a short story in 1941. The title refers to Laura and her glass animal collection. The Glass Menagerie is considered Williams' most autobiographical work. Number 7, it made Williams an overnight success, 8 years in the making. Laurette Taylor's Broadway performance is legendary. Williams was one of Taylor's biggest fans. Some say the show has a unique curse. The play gave Williams a second shot in Hollywood. This film adaptation had one major damning change from the play. The Glass Menagerie would return to the screen. In real life, Laura didn't get a happy ending. Williams made sure his sister was cared for and remembered. So I have just finished the 15 very key features or points from this play. Now let us have a look at the story in brief. Actually, it's a play, so it's not possible to read between the lines of the whole play. I'm just going to give you the synopsis of the whole play. Okay, Tom is an upcoming poet working in a shoe store to sustain Amanda, his mother, and his sister Laura. His father abandoned them years ago. Amanda normally narrates stories to her kids about her glorious youth and the multitudes of suitors who try to seduce her. She's sad for Laura's crippling shyness that fails to attract suitors. She tries to enroll her in a college, but Laura drops out. Amanda then starts selling magazine subscriptions to earn enough cash to find Laura a suitor. The frustrated Tom normally vents out through liquor, movies, and reading. One day, during his frequent arguments with Amanda, Tom questionably breaks Laura's beloved glass sculptures, and that is one of the turning points of the play. Let's go to the next slide. Amanda and Tom starts discussing how to find Laura a suitor, and Amanda requests Tom to look out for any potential suitors at his workplace. Tom chooses his friend Jim and invites him home. Upon quizzing Tom, Amanda discovers that Jim is the right person for Laura. While Amanda is preparing dinner, Laura learns about the suitor, Jim, who she had a big crush on while at school. When Jim and Tom arrive, Laura is told to open the door. She runs away after seeing the two. Tom reveals he used the electricity money to fund his intended adventures. Meanwhile, Jim and Amanda begin a lengthy talk. Amanda is dressed in a gown from her glorious yacht. Laura declines to eat dinner. Okay, this is the last slide for synopsis. Just after dinner, lights go out and candles get lit. Jim manages to convince Laura into dancing with him. During the dance, Laura pours out her to Jim. However, as she was about to show her glass unicorn, Jim accidentally knocks it, breaking its horn. After a quick kiss, he apologizes and reveals he has a fiancée. Laura forgives him and grants him the unicorn as a gift. As Amanda cheerfully enters the living room, Jim excuses himself, saying that he has to meet his fiancée. Amanda is disappointed and blames Tom. She is then comforted by Laura. Shortly after, Jim gets fired from his job and travels far away. However, he is unable to shed off Laura's memories of guilt. So the play has ended with a kind of misappropriation for Tom and the whole family, and this has brought a kind of nostalgic and sort of reminiscent effect upon the whole family members of the family. And of course, the play didn't end happily. Rather, a kind of tragic, melodramatic ending was shown by Tennessee Williams in the play. Okay, dear students, let's go to the next slide. There are some study questions which are very essential and important for you to understand the whole topic and the whole text of this play. So let's have a look at them one by one. Number one, Tom's opening speech sketches the social background of the play and introduces the main characters. What basic information does Tom provide in this speech about his family? About the gentleman caller? Or about the nature of the play itself? Discuss the meaning and symbolism behind what Laura does when she is not attending Ruby Camp's business college. What do these activities say about her personality? The outburst of anger that ends scene 3 marks the emotional peak of the play so far. How has the playwright prepared you for Tom's anger and Amanda's accusations? Number 4. How does Amanda transforms herself for the gentleman caller? How is her attitude about their guest different from Laura's? There are 3 more questions. Number 5. Discuss the symbolism of the glass menagerie in relation to Laura. How, for example, does Laura resemble the glass animals? What does the unicorn represent at first? And what does it represent once its horn has been broken? Number 6. One critic has said that Glass Menagerie shows a series of contrasts between the dreamer and the doer, the past and the present, fantasy and reality, psychological and physical handicaps, and the desire for escape and the awareness of responsibilities. Choose one of these contrasts and trace the way it is developed in the play. And the last question, number 7. What does Tom mean at the end when he talks about Laura blowing out her candles? So dear participants, I have tried to upload 7 questions for you to understand the whole play and the mechanism, different types of jars that has been used in the play. I hope you will be able to understand them. One more thing I would like to remind you that once you read out the question, it will not give you a kind of, feeling to get the answer. Rather, it will help you to understand the whole text and synopsis of the text of this play, because there is a general tendency the students only find question for understanding the answer. No, actually, when you read the questions, you will get prior idea about the whole text and the progression, the plot construction, and other mechanical device that has been used by the writer. I hope it will help you to understand all these things. And with this, I'm gonna conclude today's session. Hope you have enjoyed it very much, and try to make a good use of the lecture. And I also earnestly request you to read the whole text at home if possible, because without reading the text, you'll not be able to know the whole, the tits and beats and even the simplest meaning of this drama. So I'm going to conclude you for today. Hope you have enjoyed it, and with this, I'm going to thank you. It's all from me today. Thank you very much. If you have anything you still need to know or any kind of query, you are most welcome, and you don't hesitate to email me. My email address has been given at the first slide. And with this, I'm going to conclude today's session. Thank you very much. See you again.